Aloha and thank you for watching. And this is Now. We begin with breaking news at noon. Honolulu firefighters are responding to a brush fire in the Kapolei area near the KROC Center. Now, video into our newsroom shows flames near the roadway and heavy smoke blowing toward homes. You can also see firefighters on the ground on the scorched land. Now, Kualakai Parkway is closed in both directions from Kapolei Parkway to the KROC Center. The public is being urged to avoid the area during the firefight. We'll pass along any updates as we get them on air and online.
And we also have more breaking news just into our newsroom, and this time it comes out of Maui. Police and authorities there have provided the latest on the homemade bombs found in recent days. Now, Maui police tell us a thorough investigation is being conducted, and just moments ago we've learned that the suspect has been identified as Robert Francis Dumoran of Kahului.
A 47-year-old man has been arrested in connection to the case. When we reached out to police, they confirmed his arrest for a federal warrant, but declined to elaborate further. We're told details are being held to protect the investigation, but more should be released soon. Last week, residents were warned to be on alert after several improvised explosive devices were found in Kahului and Pukalani. One even exploded last Thursday in Pukalani, damaging a woman's vehicle. FBI officials are urging residents to remain cautious and report any suspicious activity. Here on Oahu, a 56-year-old woman is in custody facing attempted murder charges. We have few details, but here's what we know. An incident occurred last night at around 6 involving a 39-year-old woman in the Ewa Beach area. A few hours later, the 56-year-old woman was taken into custody. She's not been formally charged. We'll update you when we get more information. H&N Investigates is looking into claims an adult corrections officer and a sergeant were suspended. This was after an incident where an inmate was allegedly assaulted at Halawa Prison earlier this month. Sources tell us that inmate was handcuffed. The Department of Corrections officials told us they couldn't confirm or deny that information, saying, quote, "The alleged incident is under investigation. The department cannot provide additional details at this time, as it would compromise the integrity of the investigation." The 3 children of a murdered former Hawaii woman are now moving in with her sister. Radford High School graduate Maya Millette is believed to have been murdered by her husband in California. A judge has granted custody to her sister, revoking guardianship from Millette's mother and father-in-law. Larry Millette is accused of killing Maya in 2021 after she planned to file for divorce. Her body was never found. Larry Millette's in custody, awaiting his trial in January. Violent crime is down nationwide, but here in Honolulu, there's been a rise in 2 disturbing categories. Lynn Kawano has details on a new report and more on why some stats are not providing a complete picture.
The number of homicides in Honolulu trending up, the number of rapes made a startling jump. The Major Cities Chiefs Association released the Violent Crime Survey for the first half of the year. Honolulu is the only city big enough to qualify from the state. Of the nearly 70 total in the U.S., 15 cities showed an increase in homicides. Honolulu was one of them, with 16, up 1 from the same time period in 2023. Reported sex assaults were up to 164 from 136. Robberies and aggravated assaults were down significantly.
Statistics are a snapshot in time. They're volatile in the sense that cases may be determined to be unfounded or closed for other reasons that no longer make them a crime. So that'll lessen your statistics, while Other crimes sometimes are upgraded into that category.
When just comparing homicides, the 16 is fairly high for a 6-month period. There were 23 in all of last year. Community activists want to see police communicate more with the media and the public when there is a violent incident.
If you can let us know, hey, this area has seen an uptake in physical violence, be it murder or what we've seen a lot of is rape going up too. Like, where's this happening at so we can better protect ourselves?
The Honolulu Police Department declined our request for an interview, but told Hawaii News Now that working with community groups is a priority when it comes to addressing gun violence. Honolulu has consistently been ranked as one of the safer big cities, with overall crime relatively low. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
A 73-year-old man is dead after he crashed his moped in the McCully area. It happened yesterday at around 1:45 on South King Street, right near Washington Middle School. We're told he was in the protected bike lane when he lost control and slid out to the road. He was rushed to the hospital, but later died of his injuries. He was not wearing a helmet at the time of the crash. This is the 27th traffic death on Oahu roads this year. And that number shows the work the city has to do to reach its goal of 0 traffic deaths on city streets. New details are out about its Vision Zero effort, which now includes changes to nearly 100 intersections by the year 2040. It could cost up to $755 million. Officials say it will focus largely in urban Honolulu and add things such as pedestrian islands, raised crosswalks, and flashing yellow lights within the next few years.
It's not one size fits all. That's about 40 miles of streets that we need to be working on, and every section is going to be unique.
In the long term, the city plans to add about 45 new traffic signals to what they call problem intersections, but they aren't cheap and cost around $1 million each. You can see the entire Vision Zero plan on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com.
Former President Donald Trump's much-anticipated conversation with Elon Musk on X got off to a rocky start. It was delayed some 40 minutes because of technical difficulties, but once they got into it, they touched on a wide range of topics. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
Actually did something that was impossible.
In a 2-hour interview with Elon Musk on the social media platform X, former President Donald Trump recounted last month's attempt on his life and said he'd be back in that same Pennsylvania county in October to campaign.
What was it like for you?
Not pleasant. I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit.
Musk, who also owns Tesla and SpaceX, reiterated he's backing Trump and said he wanted to reach independent voters.
You are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite.
With the race tightening, Trump stepped up his attacks on his Democratic rival, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Third-rate, phony candidate. She's incompetent. She hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started.
In response, the Harris campaign said in a statement that Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, quote, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. Referencing the event's technical difficulties.
The Harris campaign says the vice president has been working on her economic agenda and will roll it out this Friday during a speech in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Campaign officials tell CBS News she will make tackling inflation a, quote, day one priority and will also take on corporate price gouging. Wednesday, former President Trump will also be speaking in the battleground state of North Carolina on the economy. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Former U.S. Representative George Santos will now have an anonymous jury in his upcoming fraud trial after a decision from Judge Joanna Siebert. Due to the high-profile nature of the case, the individual jurors' identities will only be known by the judge, the two sides, and their attorneys. The prospective jurors won't have to fill out a written questionnaire gauging their opinions of him. Santos has pleaded not guilty to a range of financial crimes, including lying to Congress about his wealth and using campaign contributions to pay for personal expenses. Last month, a federal judge turned down Santos's request to dismiss 3 of the 23 charges he faces. His trial will begin September 9th with jury selection, and lawyers for both sides said the trial is expected to last 3 weeks. The beating of a man in police custody last week in Arkansas has resulted in the firing of one officer and the opening of an investigation by the FBI. Laura Aguirre shows us what happened, and a warning, some of the video is graphic.
Sir, will you please listen to me? I have got fentanyl inside of me. Last night, I swallowed it.
This is Billy Lee Coram, handcuffed in the custody of Jonesboro, Arkansas police last Thursday. Hours earlier, he had reportedly escaped from a local hospital where he was awaiting transport to another state on felony escape charges. He was taken there after telling authorities he had swallowed drugs. Jonesboro police say they found Coram a short time later, and it was on the drive to the detention center where things went wrong.
On my daughter's life, and the only thing I love in this world is her. I've got fentanyl inside of me.
When Officer Joseph Harris doesn't respond, Coram twists his body until the seatbelt is around his neck. Harris stops the vehicle and begins to punch and elbow strike Coram's head before removing the seatbelt from Coram's neck. All of it caught on the cruiser's camera. Shortly after, a second officer briefly checks on the unresponsive Coram. Then Harris comes back, using his baton to do a sternum rub until Coram reacts. The drive continues, with Coram's head caught between the door and the seat.
Thoroughly disgusted, appalled.
Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott says his next move was clear.
The obvious reason was this officer will be terminated.
Associated Press reporting shows now former Officer Joseph Harris was suspended briefly 2 years ago for using excessive force. He's also a defendant in a wrongful death lawsuit stemming from the death of a local county jail inmate. Chief Elliott says he asked FBI's Little Rock Bureau to open a separate investigation into the incident. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
The former Kansas police chief who instigated the 2023 raid against a local newspaper is facing legal action. Gideon Cody is charged with a single count of interfering with the judicial process. He's accused of forcing a witness to withhold information in a felony case, according to a criminal complaint in Marion County District Court. Monday's announcement comes almost exactly a year after authorities allege Cody ordered officers to execute search warrants at the Marion County Record, the home of the paper's publisher and the home of an area councilwoman. At the time of this incident, the sheriff's office said it was investigating potential identity theft and, quote, unlawful acts concerning computers. Press freedom advocates and dozens of news organizations, including CNN, condemned the raids, citing concerns about First Amendment rights. Prosecutors say the charge relates to Cody's alleged text exchange with a local restaurant owner after the raid. A few weeks after the raids, Cody stepped down from the Marion Police Department. In the latest news out of the Maui wildfire recovery, the $4 billion global settlement faces a major legal test today in court. A judge must decide whether fire victims or insurance companies that paid out billions will be first in line for settlement money. Our Daryl Huff filed this report.
The way insurance works is you're not supposed to double dip, get paid twice for the same damage. If you get an insurance payout, the insurer can demand its money back from a court settlement or verdict. In the case of the Maui fires, multiply that argument by thousands of victims and billions of dollars, and that's what's at stake in court.
I don't think the insurance company should get a penny until every victim is fully compensated. I think that's not only the right thing to do and the just thing to do, but that is the law of the state of Hawaii.
The stunningly quick settlement was done without the approval of insurance companies who have already paid over $2 billion in claims and expect to pay another $1 billion. They are demanding to be reimbursed for what they paid from the settlement.
Whether or not the insurance companies claw back some of that money, and they don't want to agree to the settlement unless they can get some, I guess, repayments for the payments that they put out.
In their filings, the insurers argue that the reports of a global settlement are greatly exaggerated, and the deal is little more than chasing the cheap sugar high of finality while bypassing the actual detailed work that justice demands. The companies say Judge Peter Cahill shouldn't be rushing the dispute, and that the lawyers for the victims and those responsible for the fire are using the settlement to deny them the $3 billion they are owed.
If they push in court, if they appeal, it can delay things. Although I feel fairly confident that Judge Cahill feels strongly that the money should go to the people.
While the companies are entitled to money back for the property damage claims they paid, if the settlement funds are defined as compensation for emotional suffering instead of property damage, the insurers may not be able to collect. But either way, the issue has to be resolved.
It has to be done to get the deal done. It has to be done to get people paid in Maui.
People paid their insurance premiums for years. Billions of dollars of profits have been made by insurance companies, and they did pay out claims on this tragic fire. But I think that they know what the risks are, and so people should get to have all of that money based on the settlement.
Even if they are wrong on the law and in the judgment of the public, fighting over the settlement gives the insurance companies leverage to negotiate, and that's often the way judges want things resolved. Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
The Board of Water Supply says for the first time, its inactive Aiea well is detecting chemicals related to crude oil. BWS told the U.S. EPA and the State Health Department it detected what's called PAHs in late May at its shut-down Aiea well. In early June, it had several more detections. PAHs are a class of chemicals that occur naturally in coal, crude oil, and gasoline.
This is the first detection of petroleum-related chemicals so far to the west of Red Hill, over 2 miles away from the Red Hill fuel tanks. We've never detected this that far west.
We have a serious situation here. We have these detections we've never seen before, and we need to raise the ante.
The Board of Water Supply says Oahu's drinking water is safe because it shut down the Aiea well in 2021. The EPA wants more data and asked the Board of Water Supply if it considered information that PAHs came from a different, closer source. In a statement, the Navy disagrees with the Board of Water Supply's conclusions about a spreading plume, saying it conducts extensive sampling. Let's send you live outside now, and this picture actually just froze, but this is Denver, Colorado. It's about 4 o'clock there, so this is their rush hour traffic. It's 82 degrees. Looking back here at home, beautiful conditions. We'll have a look at your local forecast coming up.
How's it, everybody, on this Tuesday? We're now halfway into the third month of hurricane season. Still very quiet in the Pacific. No cyclones anywhere, tropical storms, hurricanes, none of that in the central and east Pacific. So we're looking good with regard to that. Now, we are seeing a few showers this morning. Typical trade wind stuff, right? Favoring windward size, light rainfall totals, because the rain is moving through at a good pace. So we don't have any big rainfall buildups, and those trade winds will be running at breezy levels for the rest of the week. So this is what we expect today. A few wind and Mauka showers for the usual spots like over in Lihue and over in Hilo, but there's not going to be a lot of rain when all's said and done. And we'll see lots and lots of leeward sunshine. Oahu's expected high temperature in Honolulu 88, maybe a skosh cooler over in Kahului at 86. Now the surf's going to get a little bit of a boost today for South Shores late this afternoon in through tomorrow. Not a big swell, but at least there's going to be a little bit of action out there. A bigger south swell is due in early next week, talking Sunday, Monday. Look for that swell, maybe with some head high and some pluses. So we got beach weather basically across the state for the next several days. The weather's not going to change in any significant way. We've got these breezy winds, lots of sunshine through the weekend. In fact, the winds might get a little bit stronger Sunday and Monday. And there's still going to be a few windward and Mauka showers. However, on Wednesday and Thursday, Kauai and Oahu might pick up a little bit, some leftovers from what used to be Tropical Storm Emilia. Otherwise, leeward sides will be mostly dry. High temperatures remain parked in the upper 80s.
NBC Universal got a major boost from the Paris Olympics. The company says an average of 30.6 million people watched its daily coverage. That's 82% more viewers than the Summer Olympics 3 years ago in Tokyo. A key factor of this was streaming. NBC says between daytime and nightly primetime coverage, it saw a record 23.5 billion minutes of viewing time on Peacock and its other digital outlets. One of the biggest events was the gold medal game for men's basketball between the U.S. and France. It averaged 19.5 million viewers, making it the most watched gold medal hoops contest since 1996. Realtors are bracing for the biggest shakeup to their business in decades, and home buyers should be aware of this too. On Saturday, new rules are set to take place in which they will upend the long-standing process around who pays real estate agents and just how much. Karen Kefa is in Washington with more.
Proponents of these rule changes say that it is going to make it easier to negotiate lower commissions. Others are worried it could push some realtors out of the industry and could be more challenging to first-time home buyers. But most experts seem to agree for the short term, there may be some confusion.
New rules for realtors will eliminate the long-standing 6% commission paid by a home seller and potentially lower overall home prices.
For a century, the industry has essentially set commission rates.
The changes, effective this Saturday, August 17th, are part of a settlement announced in March by the National Association of Realtors. For decades, a seller's agent typically charged the seller 5 or 6% of a home's purchase price intended to be shared with the buyer's agent. That puts sellers on the hook for an additional cost some experts say inflated home prices. Now sellers will no longer be expected to make commission offers to buyer agents. Vanessa Perry, interim dean of the George Washington University School of Business, says the new rules provide more transparency, but don't necessarily simplify the process.
Increased transparency does not mean increased understanding.
Additionally, home buyers will have to sign a representation agreement with an agent before even touring a home, which could be challenging for less experienced buyers.
They're trying to navigate an already complex set of transactions, maybe the biggest transaction they'll ever engage in their lives.
That's why Steve Robeck of the Consumer Federation of America says it's more important than ever to find an agent who knows the new landscape.
Consumers talking to agents who don't really understand the new marketplace need to find another agent.
Home buying is already a very complex financial process, and both Brobeck and Perry said that consumers should not hesitate to ask questions. Realtors are going to be navigating this new process as well. The Consumer Federation of America says to feel free to ask an attorney or another independent expert to review any documents in the process before you sign them. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
In today's Good News Now, a Kentucky man has found a great way to put thousands of Lego blocks to use, building out a new business model. Mariah Conjito has more.
I have a large collection of Legos, and so we decided that we would put those to use.
For more than 40 years, Dwayne Keaton has rounded up quite the Lego collection.
Actual loose bricks that I have in the basement, it's probably over 100,000.
That doesn't include the Lego sets. From the Coliseum to the Millennium Falcon to Lego mosaics, from a young age, Keaton has devoted countless hours building and creating.
I don't see Legos as a toy. I see it more as like clay or pencils or paints. I see it as a medium to create things.
As a former teacher with a collection so vast, Keaton and his wife came up with a business plan and founded the Brickmobile.
And I teach engineering, architecture, science, math, arts, all through Lego bricks.
Keaton says for every visit, he brings 50,000 Lego bricks with him. In a school setting, for example, Keaton will make his lessons unique to the curriculum while featuring things like the tower tumbler and Newton's cart.
I teach architecture and engineering concepts and why some towers can be so tall and how in the world are we able to make skyscrapers that are just thousands of feet tall.
Keaton says the Brick Learning Center has already created so many good experiences and memories.
They just start smiling immediately when they get to start building them. And it's so much fun to be able to share it with them.
Keaton says they can do birthday parties, school and library visits, you name it.
We're also thinking hospitals, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, where I could use the Lego bricks for occupational therapy.
And one last bit of good news. Archaeologists at the buried city of Pompeii in Italy have unearthed the skeletal remains of a man and woman along with a cache of coins and precious jewelry. So the city was home to around 20,000 Romans when it was buried under ash and volcanic gas during the 79 AD eruption of Mount Vesuvius. The woman's skeleton was found holding a bed on the bed, clutching a small cache of gold, silver, and bronze coins, as well as some pearl earrings.
I don't know, man. Don't touch it. Just bury
Leave
it back
it as
up.
it is.
Leave it as it is. We don't want any bad juju from any of that stuff. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.